So yeah, we're just gonna be talking about veganism as always, and what veganism means, and what we think we could do better, like as activists, and how we can help the animals more. Because there's a lot of things when I don't always say things to people like in the shops, and then some days like I don't know if you feel like this, but some days I'm like more angry than others.
Yeah, definitely. No, I am. Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, like sometimes I feel like I just want to like shout at everyone, and then other times I feel like a bit more not understanding. But and the weirdest thing was these people in the shop. I just had to take my post, but that's a different story. The people in the shop today were getting Costa coffee from the machine,
right. And then we
and
get cow's milk. Come on.
and
Oh,
yeah, because that's all they
come
have.
on.
And like, but I just couldn't imagine that they're thinking like they had a baby with them. I couldn't imagine that they're thinking, oh yeah, I'm really glad I'm paying for this for another baby to be stolen. Like, I don't think people think that. So, like you said, it's about being like, are you aware of what happens in the dairy industry?
Did you
I
say
think that's totally reasonable to say
you
that.
say it to them?
No,
No, not today.
they would no. I was in my car and they literally had the Costa cups and they were walking like that. And I
Oh,
saw them. I
no.
was like, I wish they'd done it in the shop. And yeah, but it is scary though. But I do think
God,
that
give
I
away.
definitely think that we should ask people if they do know, because this lady, when I said about it, she didn't even really know. And some people don't. I don't think they're being intentionally like selfish. I know people are, but most people would kind of feel that upset when they know about the cows and their mothers having a baby themselves.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like I went to Lidl this morning after teaching my class, and I saw this like huge, the trolleys, like the big racks that when they stock the shelves up, there's
Yeah,
like racks, and there was just like loads and loads and loads of Greek yogurt stacked up on these racks, and it's like we see that as stolen, tortured baby cow's milk, like, and it's just so crazy, isn't it? How other people see something completely different. They literally see it as like yogurt, but we see it as
yeah,
stolen baby cows.
and yeah, and hopefully we can get people to realize how that product actually got there.
Yeah. What do you think would need to happen for like all vegans or like way more vegans, for example, to start? You know how you always say, imagine if we all did that. Imagine if we all approach people in the supermarkets, because supermarkets is probably like the easiest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Supermarkets where it comes up the most.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think would need to happen for more vegans to be able to start to speak up and call people out or educate people on what has actually happened to get for those products to get there? Like, what do you think needs to happen? What needs to shift? And like, how do we get people to just speak up more? Do you think?
Um, Probably just like how we do, like when we see like other activists do something. Like I think like some activists like started off, like wearing like lingerie and stuff, and like wearing lingerie. Yeah.
Yeah. What in supermarkets?
Oh no, sorry, not a super. So just an example of activists wearing lingerie, and then I think I think you have to kind of be the one to do it, because then other people follow. But we have to be them people in the first place. That's the problem. So we need to have that confidence in the first place to say like we should all be doing this, and then when another activist does do it, you think, oh yeah, actually I'm going to do that because I know that I'm not alone.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Like we wouldn't look as if someone like said someone even though it probably looks crazy, if someone you saw said something to someone in a supermarket, literally just like recording and saying like, do you know what happens in the dairy industry, or not even recording and just telling you, then I do honestly think people will be like, either that's really bad, or actually I'm going to do that because that definitely the animals definitely need us to speak up like that. So I don't know, like I think like some of the best activism is like the one that get like the most people talking is the ones that like are really really scary to do. Like in the supermarket, I was shaking, I was so scared because I was saying all this stuff to him, and literally people were looking at me like, what the actual hell are you talking about?
You mean
It was horrible.
when you were speaking to him? Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like people are just. But then again, like we always say, it's like imagine all the people who used to look at the individuals who are standing up against like gay being illegal, or like human slavery, or women not being able to vote. Like everyone else would have been stood round thinking that those people who were speaking up were absolutely mental. And
Yeah.
it is happening because it's not even as if we're sharing lies, like we're
Yeah.
just stating facts, and people
Yeah.
don't believe the facts to the point where they'll just say that's not true, like, just stop forcing your opinions. This is what always, gets to me, is like, these aren't opinions, these are actual facts. And that's, I think I actually got that from you, to be honest, is when you say these aren't opinions, these are just facts.
I know.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are just so worried about what other people think, aren't they? That's why most vegans don't even do any actual like activism within a group. So
Yeah.
like going out and like saying stuff to people in supermarkets, because I think that is quite scary. I mean, maybe the first few times it was scary, and it probably still is quite scary for you, isn't it? But even just getting active with a group, even just doing something like once a month or whatever, like I think the problem is that so many people just care about what others think, and they don't want to be ostracized within their group, friendship groups or whatever.
Yeah. How did you feel when you had, like, you probably felt the same way, like when you're holding your sign in the middle of the street and people are just looking at you and being like, and then, or a common one is they just go, like, shake their head. Like, why are you shaking your head? Like, oh my God.
I know, it's like, what? I'm like, they think that I'm a psycho, but like, they think that animal abuse is bad, but they actively participate in it. So I'm like, I'm not the mental one. Like, yes, this situation does look pretty mental right now, but yeah, I'm just like, I know why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. So, I'm stood here, it feels scary as fuck. So, for any other vegans or activists. Hi David, you okay? The 40-year-old vegans here.
Oh.
Yeah, it is scary, but we just know that we need to do it, don't we?
That is exactly that. And like I said, like some days you feel like today, like I should have got out of my car and said something, like, and I don't know why I didn't. I always remember that feeling. I always know that. I actually didn't tell you, but I went. I was driving around. You know how I'm like at work, and then I'm just looking for like all these places and like animals and stuff, or just to try and like speak. No, I know it's. But anyway, I was going to a visit at work, and there was these. You probably know where it's going to go, but there was these people with their children like fishing, and like I went past like twice, and I was like, "Gotta say something, gotta say." And then back then, it's like, "Right, say something." And then how would you like it if you had a clip on your lip?" And I said, "They're sentient beings." They were like, "We're putting them back."
They were with the child.
Yeah, yeah. I said they're sentient beings. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you, what if I like got you out of the water, you suffocate, but I was going to put you back. Like it makes a difference. I was like, they're not objects. They're sentient beings, like fish are. And I was like, they were like, oh, are you vegan? I asked them if they're vegan. They said no. I said, well, this is the principle to not use animals. And they were like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, shut up. Just go away. And I was like, you need to teach your children to be kind to animals. And then obviously the little boy was looking, but yeah, I was, and then after I was like, right, I'm so glad I said that, because even though they might just think I'm weird, they have to remember that conversation that someone crazy said that to them. And then when I went back, they were gone. But yeah, I just, yeah, like you said, I just had to. And I was like, how the hell would you feel like, they're like, they said we're going to put them back, but it's like, no, this is, you don't, I said, like, they're not here for you to fish out of the water, like they're sentient beings. And yeah, I don't, yeah, so
Say into it, like imagine torturing a human and being like, oh, we're gonna put them back in
I
there.
know.
Like we're just gonna drag this human out, shake them around a bit, like hook something through their mouth, and then go, but it's fine because we're gonna put them back at home.
Yeah.
You're a psycho.
Well,
Like
it's not, yeah, and putting them back. It's exactly, like putting them back isn't like a justification. That's obviously their reason. No, it's not like it's not a reason to do it. Like the point is, they're not here for you to have get grabbing them out of the water by a hook. It's for your hobby. Like
No.
it's not. It's just it's another exploitation and use of animals. I was saying to Mum yesterday. I said, I always ask people like, how do you think you would be able to cope? Do you think you'd be able to live without exploiting animals? And some people like can't even think of like how they would live because it's so normalized.
I know, it's crazy.
Crazy.
I've
Yeah.
had that in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
People, do you think that you'd be able to, you know, live without using animals? And they've said no. And it's just like, it's so crazy to think that that is actually people's mentality. Like, even when you ask them, it's, yeah, well done for going and speaking to them, because I see that all the time with where we go for, there's people fishing, and I'm like,
I know.
like, you know, because we only just adopted Ezra a few months ago. Sometimes he runs up to people and just like, he never actually bites them, but he will run up to them and like bark at them, try and grab them.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I just don't stop him from doing it. If he's
Yeah.
never actually done it, but I always think like, if he does it and then they have a go at me, I'm just gonna say, well, what do you expect? You're literally like torturing animals for a hobby.
For a hobby. And it's like you always say about the exploitation, another one is, we say for entertainment, for pleasure, but hobbies is entertainment, I guess the same sort of thing as hobby. But hobbies in fishing, like normalized. It's so, my dad used to fish, and as you know, a lot of the people fish and they take them out and then they eat them. Like, yeah, but that's another thing, isn't it? They are not there for you, and that's my main point. What I was trying to tell them, and I said as well. I said you need to teach your children to like respect animals and be kind and not see them as commodities. And I don't know, they probably just thought I was crazy, but maybe they'll have a conversation about someone said this to us today, and maybe that might make some people think. And I think children are very, very curious and intelligent, and they want to know why I've done that.
It would have made more sense to him.
Yeah.
So even if like he thought, at the time you were a bit crazy, but he will have questioned it for
Yeah.
Should we answer some of these crazy?
I was going to say that. Yeah, you're good at answering questions. So whatever ones you want, and then I could. But what the one
first? So someone said, "Welcome to the real world. Animals hunt and eat other animals. It's nature. We are apes. Torture is different, though."
Okay, so well, just what I've learned from other activists and like reading and everything like that, and seeing content is which you've said as well. In one, we're not in a survival situation, which these other animals are, but two, animals such as the animals that hunt and the animals that eat the animals in the wild or nature, whatever you call it, they also do other horrific things to people. So I think it's irrelevant to use that as like a baseline for us to exploit animals, because we have the, like, which I've learned as well, we have like we I don't know if it's necessarily true, but we have a ability to kind of have morals and be aware of like the pros and cons of doing certain things, that not these animals don't always have that. Yeah. And torture, I'd like to know how torture is different, because I would say like mutilating animals, taking their baby away from them, cutting their tails off, putting them in gas chambers, I would probably say that's like a form of torture, because you're inflicting pain on someone intentionally for pleasure, basically.
Exactly, and even just hooking someone in the mouth is torture. How is that not classed as torture? Like, if an animal is sentient, just like a human sentient, then they can feel all the same emotions that we feel, like the emotions that matter. So pain, pleasure, sad, all of those different things. And we know that even fish are sentient. That's why it's not okay to exploit them, use them, torture them, murder them, any of those things. So it's not just about, like, if we're saying, oh, we should base our morals on what happens in the wild, then why do we have a justice system?
For humans, yeah.
Exactly. Like, should we just get rid of the whole justice system and start acting like animals in the wild?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely nonsensical whatsoever. And also, there are many, many animals who are obligate carnivores who, for example, need to eat other animals to survive. But it's the fact is, we don't need to torture, abuse, exploit, murder, or use other animals to thrive and live healthily in 2026.
Exactly. That's what I've said to someone. I said on TikTok, I said, do you think that you would die if you didn't eat animal flesh and cow's milk?
Exactly.
Like, do you think? And also, what when he said about um something, he said, oh sorry, torture is different. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, but basically, yeah, like you said, we've got a justice system, and what we're trying to do is implement rights for all animals. And exactly like I've learned as well with Watch and Outreach, is actually like that's why we have a kind of civilized society,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. That's why we don't go around raping each other, murdering each other, stabbing each other. That's why all those things are illegal. And now that
Sticking your full hand fist up someone's bum, and
weird,
put your sperm inside of them.
it's just so weird. Like when we don't need to. That is the weirdest part about it is that we don't need to, and we're still doing it. It's like, what the actual fuck? We could actually just have plant-based milk on our cereal in the morning.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I remember what I was going to say. So the question when he said wide crack, welcome to real world, that one. I was going to say what that is this is like what aboutism. So it's like, but what about this though? Because then if this happens, then we can justify what we're doing. What we need to do is we have to try and like subtract like what people are saying and then come to the real core of it, which is okay. So does that mean then it's okay to exploit and murder animals because other animals kill animals? Like, is that then okay?
exactly.
No.
And it's like, even if, again, bringing it back to not just, the animals that we use for
Yeah.
food, obviously that is the main thing, but I'm just trying to think of, when you said then about the people who were saying about the animals that we exploit for food, you it's really good to ask, would you die if you didn't eat other animals and their secretions? And then I was thinking also, like, we could ask people, do you think you're going to be like massively unhealthy or not be able to get by in the world if you don't wear their skin or wear makeup tested on them, or like all of those other things as well? Like, it's just such a shit excuse because we know that we don't need to, and all that we're asking people to do is exclude themselves from the demand, change our mindset on how we view other animals, because we're literally brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe that they don't feel emotions. Like, it's just absolutely insane, isn't it? It's like we when we're born and when we're children, we have this respect and compassion for animals until we're literally indoctrinated to believe that we need to, and it's normal to exploit them and torture them and use them for all different types of things.
Yeah.
But now we've just come out of the matrix and we know that it's not. And then seeing it from like a different perspective, it's honestly so wild, looking at what people, like seeing what people are doing, thinking that it's normal, whereas we've just gone back to basics and we have the same mentality as children before we were brainwashed. And that's why it's so crazy how people will say like animal rights or veganism is just like being in a cult, whereas it's like we escaped the cult, like we escaped the brainwashing. We've just gone back to how we viewed animals as children before we were brainwashed.
Yeah. I know it's so sad. Like yesterday, um, yeah, yesterday when mum went to Asda, we had like a little bit of a doodah, and basically she anyway, that's some I'll say it in a minute, but we'd wanted to do the questions, didn't we? I think we'd have too much pushback while people are engaging in shopping or eating. I think they may be some data on that. We'd have pushback while people are engaging in shopping and or eating.
I'm not sure what I meant by that, David. Sorry. Yeah, go on. What were you going to say? You
Yeah, so my mum and dad, like, they are. I don't think they maybe 3 4 months ago they had fish, but I don't not know they've had it since then.
So they're like 95% plant-based, you would say?
Yeah, I don't really know what. I mean, Mum even gets the correct coconut milk, so probably yeah. And don't wear out anyway. So it's just quick. So she was saying I she buys my nanny's 93, and she was saying she actually buys nanny dairy, and I'm like, that would be like me buying you flesh. Like, I wouldn't do that. She's like, but she's old. I said there's a vegan who went, he's about in his 80s, who did all that running. He went vegan in his 80s. And I said, you can't. I said, so what would you do then? What would nanny do if we couldn't exploit and use animals then? Like, would she die?
Exactly.
So it's so reliant. And I was just like, I said to Mum, I said, I'm not going to say anything. I said, I have to. I said, you're buying dairy, you are paying for this, and you're looking at these videos and telling me how awful they are, and you're actually paying for it, like regardless of who it's for. And I said, I'm not saying. I do think everyone should be vegan, but obviously I'm not saying nanny should be vegan, but I'm saying you should take yourself out of the equation, like for the demand, like just be at peace with like you not doing it. But yeah, she buys a dairy, and it's just like, why are you buying a dairy when you're literally against it? And it's really interesting. She said about she's old, or she hasn't. That's what my dad. She hasn't really got a choice. I said no. The mothers haven't got a choice when their baby are taken away from them, and
Yes.
they're begging for their baby back, and so we can drink their milk. I said that's not a choice. I said she has got a choice.
Yeah, exactly. She has got to do. It's not like we have a choice.
Exactly, Dad agreed, and I said the animals, they don't have a choice, and they're shown no mercy, they're shown no respect. They're used, in the dairy industry, they're used for their milk, and then their body can't take it no more, and then they're sent to then they're sent to be shot in the head because they don't produce milk for humans anymore. I mean, how horrific is that?
Yeah, it's just it's so bad. They are the ones who don't have a choice. We 100% have a choice. Like every single person in the UK, maybe apart from like a small handful of people, for example, if they're homeless and they literally have to go to like a food bank where they serve animal exploitation meals, then maybe they don't have a choice. But if somebody has a smartphone, goes to the supermarket, has access to the internet, buys their clothes and shoes from shops, like you absolutely have a choice to either exploit animals or live without exploiting animals. It's really that simple. Like it's not even hard. It's not even hard to work out. It's such a simple equation. Like people make it so complicated. I remember seeing I don't know if you ever watched the video, Colin Hines, Chris's brother.
Yeah.
I only watched it recently because he told me about it. But hi Lars, you okay? Yeah,
And
told me when I went to the slaughterhouse with him, he was like, watch the video where I went with Mel and Steve to the pig farm, where they were all in the farrowing crates, and then he afterwards went to a slaughterhouse with them. So I think it was like Chris, Calvin, Mel and Steve and Colin. I don't know if anyone else was there. But I literally remember seeing Colin having a conversation with Mel, and he was just like, it really hit him, and like he came to that realization of like what was happening, and just like his eyes completely open, and you see everything. And Mel was just sat next to him, and she was just like, it's really this simple. Like you either exploiting animals or you just exclude yourself from it and just don't exploit animals. It's not even hard. It's just such a simple thing as to making that decision to not exploit animals anymore, doing everything you can, everything, because it's really just not hard. And people make it so hard. It's like, again, with Mel and Steve, for example, like they said when they first saw Joey's video of the cow used for dairy, it was footage from Dominion, and they first woke up to it and went vegan. They said they lived on and toast for a week because they'd just done their weekly food shop, and that's all they had in that was vegan, like plant-based, and they just lived on tins of beans and toast for a week. And it's like, people make it as if it's so hard, but it's not. Like, worst case scenario, found out, like, if you came across the footage and was like, what the fuck? Like, all you need to do is wait till the next time you go shopping, the next time you go to buy a pair of shoes. Just don't go to a zoo, don't go to a racetrack. That's all we're asking to do. It's not even as if we're like, yes, ideally people would be active speaking up together. Like, I personally think that is a moral obligation as well, but absolute bare minimum is just to not do it. Like, non-action. It's just not participating in it. And then, yes, if you're active and actively speaking up, then amazing. Because, you know, once we do know these things, like, we should speak up. But it's like, people think that we're asking them to do something that's so completely wild. But all we're asking to do is, like, when you receive the message about what's happening for animals in your name, next time you go and do a food shop, just don't buy exploitation products. I hate calling them products, but, you know, like, don't buy those exploitation items. Do a bit of research on, like, a couple of vegan meals to make. Worst case scenario, you have, like, the same dinner every night for like 2 weeks until you figure out a different variety. But so fucking what? Like, what? Even
exactly.
If that, imagine thinking that's worse than what those animals are going through.
I know, that's what I said to Mum as well. I said it's literally a moral obligation to be vegan. Like, people should literally be vegan. I also having a conversation the other day, and I was thinking about, like, you know, like entertainment, animal testing, and all the forms of animal exploitation, like the pet industry. And I was thinking, okay, so why are so many people against animal testing, but they're not aligning their morals when it comes to animals being exploited for food and their milk or their eggs? And I thought the thing is, with people, like, food is such a big part of people's lives. And they're like, a lot of the time they're like probably addicted to, like, a lot of that food. So when you're trying to take, I think it's like harder to take that away from them than it is for them to, like, stop wearing, like, makeup tested on animals or stop going to the zoo. Isn't it, Lola? It's like the food and the dairy. It's like really complex because people, like, that's like part of their life. Like 60% of some people's life is like their food, and that does mean like eating animals and exploiting animals. And I was like, that could be like one of the reasons why people like push back so much when it comes to these industries.
I think so. And I think, like, I don't know if you ever watched Jake's interview he did a interview with Vegan FTA, and he was making such a good point that he's like seeing people around, like, how much of an addiction it is for them. And it's so true. But I also think that I don't know, like, I've spoken about this with Terry as well, but sorry, I keep getting notifications that I'm up. But I've spoken about this with Terry, and he, like, we've said together that it's, people are just so they just like to follow the crowd. Like, for example, most people are against animal testing because that's the latest thing, that's the most updated thing that we've made on. That's the thing that's probably going to be next. Like 50 or 60 years ago, like, even my mum said a few months ago when I was trying to get her to understand all of this, like, she literally sent me a message. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, for some reason, you know, like, the cheese thing just drives me insane anyway, obviously. But then when she said this, I was like, I've got a long way to go here. But she basically said, oh, but, you know, like, testing on rats and mice and rodents, I understand that might be okay if it saved humans' lives. And I was like, are we literally living in, like, the 1960s still?
They don't even need to be tested.
And it's like, before saying this shit, can you just do a bit of research? Like, seriously, because before you say stuff like that, do some research and look into whether what you're actually saying is legitimate. Because, you know, now we know that only like 4% of tests that are done on animals actually equate to humans, and they fail on humans anyway because we're not their species. But even if that was the case, like, I thought like the majority of the population were against animal testing, and then also like a few months ago in the summer, John came home from work, and one of his close-ish work friends came back from his holiday from Portugal, because I think there's only still one marine park in Portugal, maybe two. He
That's
came
amazing, though, isn't it? That
is crazy, and there's one in Mallorca as well. I know that. And he came back and he was like telling John about how amazing this like dolphin show that he went to in this marine park, and I was like, that is actually insane. Like these are the people. Like I've
yeah,
never met anyone before that thinks those things are okay, but they do actually exist. But those things, I think, in general, like marine parks, orcas in captivity, animal testing, fur coats, like the majority of the population know that those things are wrong, but it's because they're they're the most updated, parts of the movement, and it's just people love to follow the crowd. Whereas maybe 50 years ago, when fur coat wearing was normal, these would have been the people that were saying, oh yeah, trying to justify wearing fur coats. But the people who are currently trying to say, but we need dairy for calcium, just eat meat, blah blah blah, like in 40 years you're going to be the people who we're now looking back, now at the people who were thinking that wearing fur coats was normal. And it just is like, can you not just critically think for 1 second?
it's quite interesting because what's happened with the fur industry and animal testing that has made people think it's cruel, but yet so many people say that these other industries aren't cruel, and that just really confuses me. I'm like, but they're literally like exploited the same way or in different ways, and people can't think that if an animal's killed for food, they think like that it's going to be humane. Or it's really crazy. I think it's just the amount of the brainwashing, isn't it? As
Yeah,
well.
it is. And it's because they're actively doing it.
Yeah.
So I think when people are actively doing something and they're participating in it and they don't want to change their habits, they'll say that the things that they're not actively participating in are wrong. Like I genuinely think, I reckon most of let's use the UK as an example. I reckon most of the population of the UK think that they don't buy products that are tested on animals because they don't know.
Yeah.
Because like I was buying Colgate paste, something so simple like Colgate toothpaste. Then
That's
when
a big one, isn't it? That one.
I went vegan and Googled it, and I was like, what the actual fuck? I've been buying Colgate toothpaste for such a long,
Yeah.
and that's tested on animals. And it was so hard to actually find the fact as well when I read about it. Like it was such a vague answer that I had to actually look on like Cruelty Free Kitty and PETA to find out. And so I think, for example, with animal testing, like I reckon the most of the UK population think that they don't actively participate in it. Fur coat wearing, they don't think that they participate in it. But then it's like, so why do you think it's okay to wear leather then? And I've had people say to me, well, leather's a byproduct of the meat industry and I have to eat meat. So it's like, I can't actually believe in 2026 that you think that these things are true. It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, I think that's maybe why, is because if people are actively participating in it and they don't want to change their habits, like there's this one girl, I think I might have told you, we were friends for a short period of time, but she's very like, I don't know how to explain it, like, gets Botox, has all the latest like fashion items, like just how do I
All the things, like all your Chanel and all the perfumes, they're all like incredible. Like they're really bad for testing, aren't they? All the big names.
I
Yeah.
think like so we stopped speaking when I started sharing about what was happening to animals, and I kind of like didn't confront her about it, but I held her accountable when she said to me that she was like muting all my content, and that she had the facts that would prove everything that I was saying wrong. And I just thought, I don't want anything to do. And I even said to her, like, why don't we just have an adult conversation about it? And she said that she didn't have like the mental capacity for it right now or whatever. And I was like, that's not someone that I want to be involved in my life. But I'm just thinking of like her, for example. Like I genuinely think that like if she wore MAC makeup, which I don't know if she does, but I'm just giving that as an example, like I think those people would avoid looking at the facts and avoid looking at what actually happens to the animals so that they could continue doing it,
Yeah.
which is like really, really sad. So I don't even think it's just food. I think it's just when people are actively participating in it and they don't want to change, they will pretend that there are facts to disprove what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's just because you're not looking.
I know. And yeah, as the thing is, like, yeah, when you become vegan, like you have to, like, you do have to change like your whole life, but that's like nothing compared to what the animals go through. And people will say, oh well, I think one of your comments said, oh, that like no one's going to go vegan. It's like, you're vegan, but
Exactly.
people are vegan.
You're saying that to a vegan.
Yeah,
If I was the only vegan on the planet, that term is that statement is still
yeah,
incorrect.
yeah. I know.
Just insane, isn't it? Do you need to go soon then?
Yeah, I just want to be cautious because my battery's gonna die. But yeah, yeah, I'll go now. But I really enjoy it, and I hope that some of the information that we've given really helps people. And yeah, we can talk about some other stuff another time. But yeah, all right, great.
Nice to chat to you, Beth, as usual. So make it public, when you get a chance. I'm sure you will, won't you? But yeah, when it's loaded, just make the conversation public.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure, yeah. I'll put it on Instagram as well. Yeah, I will. I'll do that. I just wanted to. I don't want it to turn off, then we lose it. So yeah. All
Okay.
right then. Bye.
Bye, 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 bye.